Everybody, I'm Robby T. I'm your host for today. We're talking from going from losses to a cash cow. And man, I'm excited to share this, to allow Mike to share his journey. Honestly, the last 12-ish months, maybe a little bit longer.
Sure.
Probably a lot longer, actually. And I'm just going to kick it off. And I just want people to know that Mike is a coaching client of mine, but most importantly, Mike's a super good human being. And there's going to be some insights, some thoughts, and some ideas on how he views the world that I think is going to be really important for people to pull away. I'm going to make sure that you share those today, Mike. That's my number one job because you're a good human being. You treat people well. And you've gone through a transformation, I think, in the last year or so. But Mike, I'd love for you to maybe share a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, all those basic things, all that good stuff.
Sure, man. So, yeah, Mike Quail. So I am in the northern suburbs, just north of Boston, Massachusetts. And I've been practicing real estate since 2006 is when I got into it. And I'm a dad.
Great timing, by the way. You had a little bit of fun, and then she just all.
That's right. Right as it crashed. Right. That's a fun story in itself. But yeah, I'm a dad of three girls, three daughters, age 15 to 5. So 15, 12, and 5. So I'm very busy with them and married to a wonderful, wonderful human being, my wife Annie. And yeah, that's who I am. And I'm really committed to my faith, my Christian faith, and my whole purpose is to honor God by serving others. And I happen to do that by helping people buy and sell the place they call home. So that's really my purpose statement, which I've spent some time doing. So as long as I'm serving others or loving others, and I can do it whether I'm a janitor, whether I'm a real estate agent, whether I'm a solo agent or a team leader or a mega team leader or micro team leader, or maybe I become a track coach one day, right? Just want to serve others, and that's how I show love to the world, to serve others. So that's really my mission statement, and easier said than done, but that's the philosophy that I live.
I love it, man. And first off, do you got a girl dad shirt? Because if not, I'm gonna buy you one.
I don't have one, man, so I'll wait for that to show up.
We got to get you a grab. Writing that note down, not forgetting that one. Girl dad shirt for Quail. Let's rewind a little bit, because you've been in the game for a while. You've probably seen a lot in this game, but maybe let's go back to kind of when we first started. If you want to go back further or fast forward, up to you. But maybe go back to when we first started around then, and let's just talk a little bit about that, where your mindset was, where things were at, where your business was. Would love to maybe have you share some of that background.
Yeah, I'll go back a little further. So basically 2006, 2007. I mean, I didn't get into this. I didn't grow up and didn't go to college to say I want to become a realtor. I don't think many of us on this call did. Yep. Like our parents said, hey, do you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a realtor? Right. And you're kind of growing up. But I was in marketing out of college, and I had worked for a small marketing company. I did marketing sales for them, and I helped grow the company quickly as a young guy. Was making 6 figures, had the sports car, like everything was great. Got to go to the Patriots Super Bowl, got to go on like these like cool trips with the owner of the company, the Caribbean, on like this crazy like catamaran. It was just like, it was great. And I was making 6 figures as a young guy out of college. Sure. And it was really cool. And then I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm sure many of you have. I learned all about becoming an entrepreneur. And I said, geez, one day I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own my own company, and I want to get from the left quadrant to the right quadrant, be a business owner. And so I said, all right, how do I get there? I'm like, well, real estate, right? And at that time, 2004, 2005, real estate was booming. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get into real estate, not as an agent, but I'm going to become a real estate developer. And I'm going to rehab houses, and I'm going to own rentals and all that stuff. So
wow.
Some advice was given to me, hey, you should get your real estate license as well, because it can help you do your research on the MLS, et cetera, maybe find some of your own deals, maybe not. Sure. So I got my license, and I bought my first property, and I bought my second property. I fixed it all up. It was a 4-unit multifamily in a tough area of town. Learned how to do Section 8, managed it for a while, did all that, and I said, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and I was making over six figures. I'm going to go, burn the boats. We've heard all the
And this
quotes.
was six figures in 2006, you said?
Five, yeah, as a young.
Five. So that's six figures. It's not six figures now, which is
Right. So yeah, I'm about to be 45 right now. So I was like 23, 24.
yeah.
So yeah, making a lot more money than all my friends. I'm like, I'm gonna quit. And it's funny, I just met my wife, and it was 25, 26 at this point. And I before I proposed to her, I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, you had that great job that I do so well, and I'm just gonna quit and I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. She's like, what is that? Her family was all field, they had no idea what that was about. And
Sure.
like, okay, whatever, like, that's cool. I love you no matter what, so I knew she was in for it. I don't know if she knew what she was really in for, but yeah, we're still happily married. Whatever, 17 years later.
Wow. Yeah.
Got into it, and the market crashed 2007, as you know, and being sort of new to the development game, renovation game, rehab game, it was not a good time to be a rookie. And so I struggled, and
Sure.
I quit my job at one point. So all that money was gone, insurance, everything. I became an entrepreneur, and I had a big fat bank account. And then every month it just started going down and down and down. And then all of a sudden I had my license. So I'm like, hey, maybe I can help a few people buy and sell. So I started doing that and helping people buy and sell, and really learned a lot through those years, 2007 to 2011, just sort of surviving as a realtor. I eventually sold my investment property at a loss, had to sell another property at a loss, like a lot of us did back in those days of 08, 2009, 2010. Anyway, right around 2011, 2012, I started to build a real estate team. I became successful as an agent, and started to build a team. And really for the next 10 years, from 2012 to 2022, I was running a traditional real estate team, anywhere from normally 4 to 10 people. And we had a lot of success, and I stayed in production, although I didn't want to be in production. Out of production, that was really my big goal. And, it was kind of like, it was probably what a lot of people experience as team leaders. It was very difficult to manage all of the hats that you have to wear as a small where you're recruiting, training, marketing, still helping sellers, maybe some buyers, being an HR guy, or hiring your admins, training your admins, firing your admins, hiring people, ISAs, the whole bit, taking coaching classes, watching webinars that you'll never actually
be 6,000 different hats that a real estate agent wears.
But we had success. I stayed in production. I would sell anywhere from like 15 to 30 homes, but I was really trying to get out of production.
Sure.
And every year we were, just kind of, we were growing, but it was a struggle. And it was sort of like, once we get up to like 10 people, we would slide back down. When people would leave, people either couldn't make it in the business, or they wanted to become a solo agent. And it was just sort of a revolving door of recruiting and training people. And some people recruited and trained, and they took off and they did well. Some of them, some of them didn't. Then some people I trained barely made it, and some of them didn't make it at all. It was a real mix. And I know a lot of people can relate to this that are listening. I do recruit and train people in this 100% commission-based business. It's very difficult to do. And obviously people like have the right set of talents, and they were given the right training, and they take off. And some people with that right training, they're talented, but it doesn't work. And so I was just doing that. And so we really got into the last couple of years into a lot of the Zillow. We became a Zillow Flex member. And we were doing some Op-City, some Ojo things. And really what happened was, as running a team as a lead agent, where I was handling most of the listings, although some of my agents were doing some listings, but bringing these people on to work buyers with the limited inventory every single year. I mean, I remember back in 2017, we were but a lack of inventory, right? And now look where we're 23. I mean, it's probably
still a lack of inventory.
So having a bunch of people on your team where they're working mainly buyer leads, very difficult for them to succeed. And if it's difficult for them to succeed, it's hard for the team to succeed. And we kind of reached that point where we said, hey, we're going to give some of these other platforms a go, and we became a Zillow Flex member. And the challenge was just the margins kept going down and down and down. Not only for
which Mike, I don't know if you've heard, but it's getting even worse. Their flex prices are increasing.
Okay.
So you're spot on that. I keep telling people that referral arrangement is only going to go one way, and that's in Zillow's favor.
Yeah. So what happened was, we were, we've done the ISA model. Just a lot of things. It's just, it's hard to make it all work.
Yep.
Leader when you're juggling all the hats.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if you want to be kind of graded on a scale, like you're a school kid, right? If you're an A, a B, like in different classes, right? I mean, it's challenging to be a straight A student as a team leader.
Oh, gosh.
Have enough time to study each class: leadership, HR, marketing, still working with buyers and sellers, training, onboarding, a student going to coaching events and learning. You just get, oh, by the way, be a good human being outside of work, right? Have room for the other things, your family, your faith.
That's
Fun. Like, oh, by the way, I picked up running. Like, I haven't had a hobby for 20 years. Right. So actually, I have me time now since the changes that we've done. So anyway, at the I was just looking at my numbers. Like, we did, in terms of revenue, we did like 2019 did just about $1 million in revenue as a team. 2020 just about $1 million. 2021 we did 1.2 million, and 2022 we did 736,000.
And that's where the decline happened.
Right. So that year, man, and I still had staff, house staff, and I was trying to step out of production. So the money just wasn't there. And so we had some really bad losses in 2022. And I had made a promise to my wife at the beginning of 2022. I said, hey, because she was always like, geez, I don't know if running this team is really going to be your entrepreneurial answer that you want. I'm like, no, 10 years, just give me another 10 years and I'll figure it out. Then it was bad. We made money, but it was always a struggle. And it was always like fighting uphill, like kind of going up a muddy mountain, right? It's always slide back down. And it was never the dream. So the dream was that I was told by a lot of coaches and everything. It's like, hey, you build up this team, you step out of production, you just become a great leader and teacher, and you can net $1 million by being out of production. May be possible for some, but I think it's very, very few, right? I think it's sort of the Michael Jordans of our industry. And I guess you can speak to that because you've been in a lot of those back rooms and heard a lot of truth. How many teams do you think are really netting $1 million with the owner out of production?
When you take their own production out of the equation, very, very, very few. It is the 1% of the 1%.
Right.
And I think that's what's the most salient thing about this is everybody wants to work less and make more money. Like that is the second American dream. The first American dream is to really make progress, right? And start making money and create some freedom. But then the second dream that comes along once you start making money is, holy God, I want to work less and still make the same amount or make more. And in the real estate industry, what everybody is fed is a line of, okay, cool, go grow a team, go hire buyer agents or listing agents, hire agents, hire staff. And like you said, go turn everything over to them and just manage the team. And there's a few major flaws in it. One is when you start running a real estate team, your sales ability matters zilch. Actually, if anything, is a problem because having a team is all about leadership, frankly. And it's a much different game. It's a totally different skill. It's a different mindset. It's just different. It's not that it's bad or worse. And some people have that ability to go and lead. Some people like that and they should do it. But I think so many people have been sold the only pathway for me to move on next to work less and make more, so go grow a team. And that's just false. It is truly just false. But there's so many people, and it's really funny because I call this rescuing people. One of our missions at Hatch Coaching is to rescue people that have been, frankly, burnt by that model. um, and teach them a different way, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Mike, you get to kind of share your story because I think it illustrates it really, really well. But I think you're exactly spot on. There's very few people in this game that actually have successful teams and then have successful teams that make money. I would say, from
And
my
that
experience,
way more than a snapshot of a year, right? Like, okay,
over
oh,
time,
he
100%.
netted X. Well, like, did you do it year after year after year?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is, and I've experienced it, is that it's interesting in our business. We're not selling. The salespeople are not selling a product like a jet airplane. Where if I owned a jet airplane sales business and I had my top person, they couldn't just go open up their own jet airplane service because they need my manufacturing. But in real estate, you have a top agent on your team, a team member. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
they sort of outgrow the value that you're providing for them.
Which, if you're good at leading, is what should happen.
Right.
Right? Like, that's the oxymoron of it. If you're good at what you do, if you're good at training, you're good at leading, what happens is people do end up leaving you, which you're 100% spot on, which sucks, but it's the reality of it.
Kind of teach them how to fly out of the nest, and you sort of just created your own competition. That's what I did year after year after year, and I'm really proud of the people that
Mm-hmm.
were on my team and are in this business and doing well.
Yep.
Own it really makes me proud, but it's tough from an economic standpoint as a business owner to like, okay, well, there goes all this production out the door that I trained and now is going to work for some other broker. But
Mm-hmm.
that is what it is. And
Yep.
yeah, there's some different things you can do for that. But it's just difficult, and it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't say it's impossible. Nothing's impossible. It's just difficult. So I wonder,
Yes, good point.
evolved in our relationship, how many top sales guys and gals that are similar to me, they're really good at just getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
But if we put too much on our plate and make us wear too many hats, we just start sucking wind too much. I was
Mm-hmm.
working, you know, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours.
Sure.
So, I mean, even last year, like, it's basically losing money last year,
Mm.
right after all my expenses.
Oof.
And I had to pull out of, I mean, to make it through last fall, I was pulling money out of savings. I'm selling this, selling stocks, doing this, doing that. I'm like,
Mm.
whoa, this is not good. I'm 16 years in the business, and
Yep.
I'm having to just like throw money in to make this thing right.
Can
So,
I ask a question about that, Mike? One of the things I like to talk about is, like, when you're in that moment, like, what's the conversations that end up happening with yourself at that point when that's happening, if you don't mind sharing?
yeah, oh shoot, or worse, right?
I
Trying not
think that sounds very PG to me.
trying to keep I'm trying to keep it more PG. I'm not always PG, but I'm trying to be more.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, what kind of goes through is survival, right?
Mm,
Like,
sure.
and saying, okay, and I mean, obviously myself, who, I've done well and been a team leader, and like, wow, what happened here? What wrong turns did I take?
Mm,
And like, and then, I always think of myself as a winner. Okay, great. Like, how can I fix it? Right. So it's like, okay,
sure,
take responsibility for what I didn't do correctly, and let's
sure.
change. So sort of like, as we kind of took a pivot here, but my wife and I had said, hey, she said, hey, I think, being a team leader may not be your thing. I'm like, no, it's my thing. I'm going to run a business, big 20-person team, and make it all happen. I told her, hey, if I don't have 10 great producing agents on my team by the end
Mhm.
of 2022, I will take a different path. I will
Mm,
not try to run a big team. And it was sort of funny. It sort of happened on its own that like revenues were way down. I had multiple staff people, ISA, and it just there wasn't money to make it happen. I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm getting a closing just to
mm,
pay for other staff people. I'm
yeah.
like, that is not a well-run business. That's not a healthy business. So we had to
Mhm.
make changes, and then some agents decided to, by their decision or my decision, depart, and I just
Yep.
allowed the thing to just go away.
Mm,
And in January, I had nobody but me after running like a 10, and that was scary.
yeah, I believe it. So let's walk through that. In January, it was just you. Um, walk them through 2023, because I think we've hit on and first off, I appreciate you being transparent, because it's not fun to talk about our losses. I wish more people did. I think there's two major problems in this industry. Probably the biggest one is there's so much ego in this game of only talking about the wins or how great we are. And I think people learn just as much, if not more, when we talk about, man, here's our shortcomings, here's where we failed, and this just wasn't for me. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then, of course, the second biggest problem is there's just a lot of lies in this industry as well. But I'd love to hear, Mike, January 1st, 2023 to now, almost September 1st, almost a full 8 months in now.
Mhm.
What's changed, man? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, well, there's no more agents to do deals. It's just me. So, and I really hadn't worked buyers full time in maybe a decade. I mean, I still would do a few buyers here and there, and then I would work with some team members to help a couple buyers, some friends and family, that sort of thing. But for the most
So
part,
you're full blown in production, all
yeah,
in on production.
yeah. So full blown in production. And you know what I found is, as anti-production as I was, again, from a lot of the coaching I got, where can't be in production, you have to be the business owner. Da 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 da. I actually, strangely, just enjoyed the heck out of it. I enjoyed connecting with human beings on the buy side. I was like driving around like Massachusetts, showing homes. I'm like, man, this is fun.
Sure.
I'm connecting with people and connecting with my why in terms of serving people. And what's cool was, obviously, as a team leader too, now I'm doing these deals, and I'm not, you don't have the big cost of goods sold, right? Where you're doing big splits with your agents. And so we're creating more revenue that's actually going to the business bank account, which ultimately fuels my home life, my personal life. And I was happy. I was working with buyers and sellers, and I was closing deals, and I was basically, shaking hands and kissing babies. I was having a great time with my clients and just loving on them. And there's a lot I can kind of go on about this, but I made more money this year, I think, than I have. I don't know. I don't know how many. I probably made more money this year than I ever have in real estate. And me being back in production, and I've had more fun, and I had so much going on with my girls, who were into different activities, play practices and soccer practice and this and that and the other thing. And I was able to help my wife out, and I did a lot of driving. So I don't know. I don't know if I didn't count my hours, but let's just say I went from working 50 or 60 hours to working 25 hours and making more than I've ever made this year by being back in production. And
so again, let's circle back, Mike. Everybody wants to work less and make more.
Yeah.
The bill of goods that we're taught, again, different phases. Phase one in real estate is you got to be able to create business to stay in the business. I think we've all seen, if you can't do that, you're gone, right?
Yep.
As odd as it sounds, the quality of the service you provide doesn't really matter to whether you stay in the industry. It's, can you generate business? Now, do I think that getting retentive business, if you're bad at treating people well, yeah, of course, they're not going to come back to you. But if you can't generate, that's the first thing that separates people. From there, the problem becomes, how do I work less and make more? And Mike, what I think you're getting at here is, if you were to just go back a year ago today, you're working less headaches.
Yeah.
No dipping into savings. You're putting money into savings.
Right.
And let's just name that that's not normal in real estate right now. Like, I think that's the circle right now is that was normal for people to start making money hand over fist between May 2020 through May 2022, because the game was easy, right? You didn't have to have any skills. You didn't have to be good. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's really difficult in this industry right now is so many people that created bad habits and thought they were good when they were playing basketball on that little Tykes hoop that everybody has. And we all thought we were MJ, right?
Right.
We're not. That's not where we're at. And now the hoop's raised back up. So I think the crazy thing is we just need to make sure for everybody to understand that you're working less and making more when most people are working more and making less. right? And we're
Yeah.
seeing people drop out of this game. Additionally, here's other things I know about you. You're spending more time with your family than you ever have.
Huge. Crazy.
Okay. You're
Yeah.
you're being more of the husband and dad, which is, I think, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all that, you can have the best businesses, but if you're at home internally missing or internally absent, what the heck's the point of any of it? What's the point? And on top of that, you're probably putting your health at more of a priority than ever
Yeah.
before.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Again, we started this off with you saying that you ran a marathon 4 days ago, 3 days ago.
Fourth marathon 4 days ago. Yep.
Probably feels like yesterday to you, if I had to guess.
Yeah, the legs are still, I still have trouble standing up, but that'll be gone in another day or two.
um, so my point behind all of this is there's a final thing that I think has also shifted, which is this mindset that you've kind of hit on, but you're there to love on people. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about this in our coaching calls, that your North Star is to love and serve other people. So I would imagine that internally in business, you're also feeling more fulfilled than you felt for a long time.
Big.
And the funny thing is, obviously, extrinsic rewards, the money and the time, those things are coming. But I want you to hit on that internal reward that you're getting, that internal mindset of your job is to love on people. I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little harder as you're trying to build the larger team, because you're trying to build the systems to make it all work. So you're sort of taught to push people away because you can't be involved with client work and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I get it. And I understand the concept. It's just very difficult to pull off. So,
Mhm.
I would just be so distant from my clients. And then,
Sure.
you know what happened the last couple of years? Not only so I was distant from my clients because I wanted my listing coordinator to handle this, or my admin, or my agents to handle this. And so I was like, I need to push these people, the clients, away so they can handle it and do a good job.
Mhm.
And you know what sort of happened? And then, so I guess I should be loving on my staff and my team. You know what
Mhm.
happened? I got so burnt out the last couple of years. I wasn't, I was pushing away my staff and my agents
Oof.
as well. So I
Oof.
was so just burnt out from the business.
Yeah.
And my team, I was just tired. I was just and as the profits went down, I was just tired. And it's like, I'm shutting the door in my office, and I don't want to meet with my agents anymore to have the one-on-ones. I don't want to meet with my staff. I'm like, I knew something was wrong with me in terms of my
Yeah.
energy, my attitude, being a leader. And I was
Mhm.
just tired, and the results weren't coming. And I think 10 years of trying to kind of reach this magical, net seven figures and all this stuff, and just being so far from that, um, it had taken its toll. So, when I was able to then just reconnect and love on people, and the only people I had to love on were actually my buyers and my sellers, my happiness like went through the roof. Like, coffee shops, doing buyer presentations, signing people up, writing offers, getting deals done, and
Mhm.
then working with sellers, and just, I don't know, I wasn't such a jerk. My like I
Oof.
become so like regimented about time blocks and everything else, and I never had time to really love on people because I was always thinking about
Okay.
the next business
Can
problem.
can we
And
hit on this for a second, Mike, real quick? Because I think this is something that is so dangerous in this game, is that we think that we can have the right systems and the right plans, but let's be real. If your heart and your soul and your mindset's not in the right place, more doesn't equal more, more equals less.
mm, yeah,
Because if I had to guess, like, Mike, no offense, y'all, but dude, I didn't want to, I wouldn't want to be around you back then.
I couldn't love anyone. I was spread too thin.
Mm,
I was exhausted. I just wanted to like run because I just couldn't keep anybody happy. I was spread too thin, so all the categories in my life were less than satisfactory, which meant that the feedback
oof.
wasn't great I was getting from others. So I didn't want to hear that. So I just want to
Yeah.
go away, man. You
You
know?
you create dissonance, you create boundaries, and it's normal. It's what humans do when you're
Yeah.
getting something. And so what would be, somebody had just said that they're in a very similar place to where you were, Mike. Okay. This is what I love about doing webinars like this, is people get to chime in and I think both you and I knew that there's a lot of people out that are in your shoes. We hear
Yeah.
it consistently. What would be a few pieces of advice or a piece of advice that you'd give someone that says, Mike, I'm in a similar place where I'm burnt out. I'm over this game. I'm over my team. What would be the advice that you'd give?
Hmm. Well, it's a hard one to just on a total, like not knowing who it is and like,
Mm-hmm.
what the dynamics are. So it's a little hard. I mean, I would just say if you're let's just pick like an avatar, right? Let's say you're
Yep.
a struggling team leader who used to be a great
Mm,
salesperson. Um, I would say you may want to consider a smaller team,
mm,
the kind of the mega team concept of 6, 10, 20 agents or whatever, multiple staff members, maybe paid ISAs, maybe overseas ISAs, all that stuff, mega systems and all that. Heavy recruiting, heavy training, heavy onboarding, heavy offboarding. And you may find a sweet spot doing
mm.
what you call it the micro team, I've called it the power team,
Yep. Yep.
of maybe yourself, and I've heard it from another place where it's instead of trying to run the whole ensemble cast, it's more Beyonce and the backup singers, right? Where
Mm,
you, the team leader, are Beyonce and you have your backup singers, right?
sure.
That's sort of what I've taken from you and Eric, what you guys put together in your Agent Blueprint book, which I
Yeah.
read, fascinated by,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm on that path now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building out a different type of team now. We can get into that. But
So can I summarize what I'm hearing you say? And I want to see if you agree with this. What I'm hearing you say to someone that's in similar shoes is when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling burnt out, when there's too much being expected of you. There's one simple thing I heard you say, Mike, which is you need to shed some of those things and take on less. And what you did, Mike, from an outsider's perspective, was you went back to something that was your core competency.
yeah,
And in business, just so we all know, there's a business principle called the Peter principle, which is we graduate ourselves into incompetence. We think I'm a dang good salesperson. I can be the president. Y'all, I'm a great leader. And they're just different skills. Just like, frankly, some leaders are miserable salespeople. They're not the same thing. They're very, very different. So I think sometimes what has to happen, and it's really funny because actually at Hatch Coaching, we're going through this right now. We realized in our own world that we were doing too much. And what happened is we're going through the exact same things that you're saying is we're overwhelmed. We're too much. We're burnt out. Well, we got to take on less. We got to get back to what is our core competencies. And we're peeling that back on.
have space to grow again. That's what happened with me. My
Mm-hmm.
joy helping people has just skyrocketed. My happiness with my business and the profits are way up as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a core competency of being really good at helping buyers and sellers in real estate, and I was teaching
Yep.
my agents on how to do that.
Sure.
And now that I'm actually out there just doing it, I mean, we have the lowest inventory, in history here in Greater Boston,
Yep.
and I'm getting buyers under agreement left and right. And if I had given some of those leads to some of my agents,
Mm-hmm.
any of my agents on my team would turn those into $0 and negative dollars because they'd actually work with those people for 6 months and never help them buy a house. And then not only that, but regardless of the business perspective, think about that family that was trying to buy a home.
Mm.
And they were working with less than a bad to the bone agent in this market.
Mm.
And they didn't get to buy a home because they kept missing out on properties, or they were looking at the wrong class of properties. They should have been looking at condos or townhouses, not single families, or maybe they should have been looking in a different town. Or actually, when they found the property they wanted to, they did not do all the things they needed to do to get the property, and they missed out. And they're like, "Oh, I'm on my 7th property and making offers on, and I'm burnt out." Now there's you and I went through the side. It's like a Tony Robbins thing. Like, imagine all the negatives that would happen. They didn't have a really highly skilled agent helping them. I mean, we're talking about families, maybe boyfriend and girlfriend wouldn't get engaged. They wouldn't get married. They wouldn't have babies. And then they wouldn't have grandkids. And then who knows? Maybe their kid would cure cancer. So we've got to help people get that condo so somebody can cure cancer one day. I know but I mean, it's
true.
joy helping people win.
Yeah.
for sellers too. Like I'm able to dive right in, and I still have a transaction coordinator, so I'm not myself. And then I also have a partner agent now. We can talk about that, and then add back some admin things as we go. Just getting back to your core competency, you can help a lot of people, and this industry pays really well. As a mortgage broker friend of mine said, Mike, as I was getting back into production, he said, I look at a lot of finances of people. If you're a successful agent, he goes, you're making doctor money and more than doctor money.
Way more than doctor money compared to most doctors.
One of the reasons I want to get out of production is I didn't want to have to work after 6 p.m. and I didn't want to work nights and weekends. And you know what? My mortgage broker friend, who is still in production, he plans to be in it. He just said, look, dude, he said, when I get a call that comes in, he's like, I just answer it and I deal with it. You know what? You know how much money I'm making per hour by serving people? Trying to build a team. I used to get really angry and frustrated that I was dealing with so many things after hours. But my whole plan was to work, Monday through Friday till 5 or 6 o'clock and be done and let the team handle the rest. And it just never worked out. And I used to be so frustrated. But now, I embrace the 7-day-a-week thing. And by the way, I have help, and I and we can get into that stuff. But when I get a call now, instead of being angry, I'm happy. I'm happy to take it from a client, and they feel the love. And a client gave a clock as a closing gift last month, and they said,
say that one more time. A client gave you
a clock with a
closing gift. What? Usually it's the other way around here.
Actually, yeah. Hold on.
I want to see this clock now. I don't know if I've actually ever heard of that, Mike, that you're getting a closing gift. So that's
like limp around here. So here, we'll take it out of the box, but check it out. It's a quail bird, and it's a clock.
A quail bird. That's funny.
Kind of custom done for me. They said, Mike, you gave us your time. And they said, that's the greatest gift that anyone can ever give is the time. Yeah. Actually, here it is. Mike, there's a little card here. Mike, we could never thank you enough for giving us the time that we needed to find the right home for our family. With appreciation, the Chipmans, and said, time is life's most precious gift, right there at the top. That's so cool. That's what because I'm not on webinars, learning how to hire, train, fire, onboard, Trello boards, all that stuff I was into, because I have time to love on my clients. I'm getting that. And it's so rewarding. And by the way, because we do have this beautiful cell phone, which can be bad, but can be good. I'm picking the kids up from soccer games. I'm doing deals at soccer fields, which used to, all my coaching clients told me it was horrible. Now I'm laughing the way to the bank. I'm doing deals. I get to hang out at the soccer field. They have no idea I'm at the soccer field. And I'm just,
they care.
And of course, you have me now financially. We're setting things up where we have all kinds of savings accounts going for retirement accounts and this and that. And we're just funneling them in now. And I actually see a different plan to get to financial independence than what I was pursuing. So anyway, you want.
There's a lot of places to go. So let's just recap.
Yeah.
First off, you joined the game in 2006. Great timing. 2007, 2008 comes along and just decimates everything. And you probably had to go back to, that's really how you got into real estate, actually. You weren't really playing the real estate game in terms of selling real estate until 2007, 2008, which is the best time to learn to play the game. Like I always tell people, that if you joined in 2020, sorry, but you got screwed because you were given a market where literally there was no resistance. Everyone was like, I'll pay 40,000 over asking price, or out in Mike's world, 400,000 over asking price. I'll give away my Patriot season tickets. Whatever, these stupid, crazy ass stories that we had never heard of before. And the problem is that when you come in when the game is hard, you build good habits so you can weather tough seasons. And I think that's probably part of the reason you're still around, Mike, frankly, is you didn't join when it was easy. You joined when the game was really, really difficult. But then you found success. And I think for the next 10-ish years or so, you were trying to find yourself. You had success, you were selling homes, and you're like, what's next? What next? And you were sold the bill of goods that almost everybody is I'm building a team. That's my path to financial independence. I'm going to build a team. I'm going to sleep, make money. I'm going to make a ton of money, and they're going to do all the work for me, which sounds absolutely great on paper and is almost never, ever, ever executed. And I'll just name one more thing. Almost nobody sells their real estate companies to other people.
Right.
That conversation needs to stop here. That's so incredibly rare, because most of our businesses, you take us out of it, the business doesn't exist anymore. And it's just different. And you alluded to it earlier. It's different in a lot of ways. It's really tough. And I'm not saying, there's some people that turn it into saleable assets. Usually what they've actually done is they've created a marketing company. They're not even a real estate company at that point. They're a marketing company that's learned to create opportunities that they're selling. It's not a real estate company that they're selling. But then you have success, and then it starts to unravel a little bit. And you take on some losses. You have to dip into your savings. That's where you were beginning of this year. Well, end of last year. You started seeing the turnaround early part of this year. Now you're, I'm just going to say 10,000 foot, you slanging real estate, helping people, most importantly, extremely profitable. Life is good. My question for you is, what's next?
Yeah, what's next? Well, let's just call it about to be 45 in a month or two. So we call it, I'm okay for the next 15 years from age 45 to age 60, enjoying life, selling, helping people, serving, loving God and serving others, right? And helping in real estate where I have talent. And maybe it'll change, and filling up. I have a whole game plan to fill up my retirement nest egg that it'll pay me money, $400,000 every single year by the time I get it built up without working at all. Made gone. And that's sort of my goal now. And so
the only true way, I think, for most people to get financial independence, I think is what you're getting at, is try to make as much money as you can.
Yep.
Live as below that income as you can, and invest the difference. It's truly that simple.
I know. I was always too simple to do it a different way.
And so I'll just be very honest about what is so scary in this day and age in the investing space. Is so many people want the get rich quick scheme. They want the crypto to hit, right? They want that business to pop off. They want to find that stock. And y'all, it's just simple fact that stock, even the best stock pickers in the game, okay, are no better than a chimp throwing a dart at a dartboard. Statistically, a monkey that throws a dart at a dartboard and says, I'm going to invest in that stock, is just as good as the best people on Wall Street picking what stocks are going to go up and down. The only tried and true way is invest in, I call it, income producing assets, which is you can invest in real estate if that's what you want to do, which a lot of times people say is passive, and it's not, just to make sure that we're clear. Okay. And that's not passive, and that's okay, but that's now active, which means it's another job you're taking on, which means it's going to cost you time and energy. And as long as you're okay with that, cool. But what it really comes down to is you're taking the difference between the money that you're saving. You're not allowing lifestyle creep to creep up anymore. Don't get me wrong. Mike's got a fabulous life, right? He's got a bougie hot tub living in his backyard.
Oh yeah, we talk about the hot tub client.
He sends me Marco Polos from it once in a while, video text messages.
It's marathon recovery.
But yeah, it's probably a great idea, actually. Yeah. But you're not allowing it to continue to creep like most people do, because that's where people go wrong. You're paying your taxes, another place where real estate agents go wrong. I'm not saying, like, obviously you're probably trying to minimize that as much as you can, ethically and legally, but you're paying your taxes, you're paying your bills, you're paying your debts, you're taking that extra money, you're investing in income producing assets, and that is either stocks, or it can be bonds. They can produce income, maybe not the best, or real estate. You're buying income producing assets, and you just know, like, that's the game you're playing. And Mike, it's really funny because people compare us to doctors a lot, because we can make doctor money. And there's a couple unique things that are different about a doctor. Number one is doctors go to school for
8 years.
How many years? 8. Depends on how specialized they are. All right. If they're brilliant, I guess maybe 6, but 8 years. They have to spend a stupid amount of money to become a doctor. But the thing that people don't talk about is, dude, doctor hours suck. They're miserable. They're terrible hours. They're just as bad, frankly, in a lot of ways. especially in the beginning for doctors, as being a real estate agent. And then on
to
top of that,
physically
they
be,
have to work for 30 years.
and they have to physically be at the hospital, whereas we can just be at our kid's soccer game and deal with a high level issue right here. Go to the car for 5 minutes, make the call, come back.
And I think what I've loved about your mind and where you've been at is you've transitioned to everything's an opportunity right now.
Yeah.
And it's feeding this is going to be my exit plan that works. Like it's there's a great book out there called The Simple Path to Wealth. I would highly recommend going and reading it, or The Psychology of Money. Just buy basic index funds and put it in there. Like if you want the most boring way ever to become a millionaire over time and have the ability to go and retire, go down that pathway. But there's so many people, Mike, that I think get stuck in this really negative attitude. They don't have gratitude for it. And again, you've been there, I've been there. And what I'm just really proud of you is you found a really consistent heartbeat that's congruent with your faith and your soul. And I think you found, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you found your calling again. You're like, this feels right.
Yeah, I'm able to help people at a really high level, buyers and sellers, and I'm a very good strategist. I'm obviously a good salesperson, good influencer. I have their interest at heart. So I'm able to be a really good advocate for them and help them win. And that's really what I do. I help people win, and that's really satisfying. And it pays really, really well, which is fantastic. And if I just do this enough, now we're kind of in the next evolution in terms of building the right structure. So it's not all on me, yet it's still sort of my practice. So instead of building a huge enterprise, I more like have a high-end doctor practice. Instead of like, I'm not building a hospital anymore with 100 doctors and I'm actually the CEO of the hospital. I'm running a small boutique doctor practice where we get to choose our clients and we choose our patients, and I have staff to help. So yeah, I don't know how much of that you want to get into. We have about
somebody had asked about that. Somebody had asked, I'm thinking about getting an agent partner. So I'd maybe love for you to talk about what an agent partner is. We've used the term showing partner in the past, or listing partner. You can call it agent partner. It's kind of all the same thing, but maybe define that from your perspective, how you've been utilizing that in your business. So maybe just dive into those two things.
And I'll hit a couple simple things before we hit that. Once I kind of let go of my internal paid staff and everything, I worked with a remote transaction coordination company, so I did have some leverage with that. And they also do my transaction coordination plus listing launch. I had used this company before, so it was pretty smooth. So it wasn't as if I was totally on my own. And also, I was able to get agents to help me with open houses. I've always been a very creative guy in terms of delegation, and I would offer out either dollar price, all the leads for a certain referral fee to have agents host my open house. So I had people helping me, even though I was back to a solo agent. Even if I couldn't make a showing, I'd ask a fellow as the AXP. So there's a lot of agents here in Massachusetts. I can hit the message board and offer them some money to help out, which is a win-win. But onto, so I still have remote staff right now, but it's great. They only get paid on the closing, so it's great for cash flow.
Yep.
So then having to do all the showings as a buyer agent does get taxing on yourself, family, nights and weekends, heavy. So eventually we were going to make some improvements in that area. So I hired what's called a showing agent or an agent partner, which is hiring basically an agent. I kind of like you have your admin assistant and they help you with all the admin things. This is like an agent. They do all the licensed agent work out in the field that you can't get to, right? Or that you want to have some time off, right? So basically, it's for the most part, their main objective is to help your buyers get out to properties. So I time off on the night weekends from doing all those showings. And also they help this particular person I have right now. They host most of my open houses, but we also have overflow agents at EXP that can help. And so they're helping with all the agent things and all of the field work that a lot of times we would do as agents. So I have time just to sort of do the high level things, either meeting new clients, doing conversion, feel sort of the higher dollar per hour.
So so many people have questions on this, and I think this is where I'll put the coaching hat on, that a showing partner comes in and long term, one of three things ends up happening. One is they stay a long-term showing partner because that's just, they love it. They love doing it. And that's some people's personalities. They love doing it. And that's their skill set. And I'll just be very clear. There's not a right or wrong here. It's just everything in this is about congruence and best fits and what somebody else wants. Right. So for Mike, he can't dictate where his partner goes. His partner gets to dictate that. But one option is staying where they're at. The second option is something that we've called the graduate, is one thing. And essentially what this is, the graduate is somebody who earns the ability to take on more opportunities. They graduate and become essentially an agent, potentially on Mike's team. So they want to be almost mentored, and they graduate, they earn the right. Once they've produced a certain amount of business, you can create your own standards and check out our book. By the way, if you want a copy of the book that Mike referenced earlier that we had wrote, just send me a direct message at real Robby, TREAL ROBBYT. Are you gonna grab it for me? I looked over, I was like, I don't know where my copy went. And just say blueprint or free book, and we'll make sure to get you a copy. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, there it is. He had the digital copy like a boss.
Wrote notes and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Smart. But the graduate basically becomes an agent. And for us, the big qualifying graduation piece is, can they create their own business? Because that is what allows somebody to stay in the game. And then the third and final path is somebody who essentially becomes like your managing partner. This is somebody who becomes, we've also called it the empire builder. The managing partner is somebody who takes on more and more things off of Mike's plate. A good example is maybe doing negotiating on all those deals, where Mike then is really running point on the relationship, and then that person runs point on all things real estate. And usually at that point, you have a different showing partner. So those are the three different paths that traditionally we see those people go down, or a fourth, which is they leave the game altogether. But that's really rare from what we've seen. They almost always are either a lifer, a graduate, or they become your managing partner. They do more business with you. They take on more. And with that, they earn more financial opportunities as well. Mike, we only got a few minutes left here, and I just want to turn the time over to you. We do have one more question here. How do you pay your showing agents? I'll just say I hate talking about payment. I don't want to put you in that position because it's really awkward. Check out our book, or you can send me or Mike a message privately, and I'm sure we'll respond to that.
I'll just, I don't mind a little bit. Just pay them a decent salary.
Yep.
And then they get a small bonus on every single closing.
Perfect. Yep. Us too.
So like, it's almost like having an admin, with an admin salary, a little bit less. And then I give a small bonus on every closing. And the book talks about why that's so helpful for that showing partner and why it's such a win for you. So my margins are terrific, and my person knows they're making money, and they love it also when we do deals because they get bonuses on that. So it's a real win-win compensation model for the team leader, the business owner, and the showing partner. It satisfies their needs and satisfies the business needs. So check out.
And the other big thing is, it's really easy to train someone to be a really good showing partner, compared to, here's how you become a really good agent.
Yeah.
If you really think about how flawed that thinking is, I'm going to go hire agents and come in and they're going to take over. There's so much work it takes to be a really, really good agent. And what we found is, when we've talked about the showing partner model, it's not just a great win for Mike, who gets leverage. It's also a win for his partner, who comes in and isn't thrown to the wolves of sink or swim, which is right now, most people would be sinking, frankly.
At best, it's a 50% success rate when you hire agents, take
Yeah,
them
best. Yep.
versus this is you're really taking them under your wing, but they're helping you. I mean, they're on group text set messages with all of my buyers and seller clients. This my showing partner, and she gets compliments from the clients the other day. They're like, "Oh my gosh, she was so amazing, so helpful," and she went over and talked to the sellers, was picking up a lockbox and just chatted with them for an hour and like loving on them, and like that's things that an admin in the office wouldn't do. So it's really nice to have that agent assistant or showing partner be part of my world. So
I love it. Mike, I know you gotta get running here to go pick up one of your daughters.
daughter,
Last
Yep.
last words you want to say that you'd maybe want to end on today.
That's a big deal. I mean, I think obviously you have to do a lot of, you have sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You have to food, water, shelter, all that stuff. So you have to have a job that provides those things, right?
Yep.
And really, it can not only provide those things, but provide a lot more than that and actually make you wealthy. It can also make you divorced, broke, depressed, alcoholic if you go down the wrong road and you're basically working to pay other people's salaries if you don't have a really profitable enterprise running.
Sure.
Don't have a really profitable enterprise running. And you're running an enterprise with a lot of people and they're counting on you when it's up and down and you're no longer fulfilling your financial needs for your own bank account, and you may have to bail out on your staff and reduce their money. Like, think about it, is running this big enterprise the best thing, and having these agents come on my team, is this the best thing for them? And if you have skills in real estate helping buyers and sellers, you may want to consider running a micro team or a power team, whatever you want to call it, where you are sort of the main person and you're supported and building your wealth and your joy. You work less hours, you have much higher margins. Yes, you are in production, right? You are meeting buyers and sellers. You are doing that. But if you can say that's okay because I'm making doctor money here, right? And that's a big deal. That was a big deal for me to hear my mortgage friend tell me that, because a lot of times I never wanted to grow up to be a realtor professionally. It wasn't something you kind of like looked at, but that made me feel a lot better about, hey, just being in production and helping people. Then you help people, and then you can build up a supportive team around you that you're satisfying their needs and goals, like an agent partner that needs a salary plus a bonus, and then maybe another admin, either remote or in-house, and just building it up right and really profitably. And then having these bank accounts that just, as commission checks come in, you just float the money to the correct bank accounts, and then you're building your wealth. You're building your ark, if you will, for your retirement, and you're not going as crazy trying to be a CEO as well. It's a lot easier when you're just serving clients and only have a couple people to manage versus a bigger enterprise. So if you like doing the big enterprise and you're making money, awesome, rock on. Some people to whatever degree, don't want to stop anyone from doing that. But if you're struggling, don't feel bad. Most top salespeople struggle running an enterprise, and maybe you want to be, Beyonce with the backup singers and like you front and center, helping clients with support. It's not a bad way to go. And again, you're probably making more money than doctors if you do it right.
I love it, man. Mike, I'm really grateful for your time today. If anybody has any questions that they want to maybe reach out to you, how's the best way for them to reach out to you, Mike?
They can probably reach out to me like Facebook Messenger or something like that. Just find me Mike something right through there, or shoot me an email at the Quail Group.
I like it. And if you can't find them, just email me, and I can always just start a message thread. I would just end on two simple things. I think so many people are in pursuit of growing a team because that's what they've been taught. But secondly, it's what people's egos want. And I think it takes a lot of humility to recognize to do what you've done, Mike. And it's really funny because you're saying like, I'm Beyonce and I got the backup singers, but it's like, you're really humble about it. Like you're a dang good salesperson, unbelievably good salesperson. But it takes a lot of humility to not care about the metrics that everybody in this industry cares about, which is total number of sides and how many people are on your team.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even mention how many sides I've done this year, but I can just tell you, Mike,
it's stupid. Stupid. Okay. And we need to stop these conversations about how many sides have we done. And we need to have conversations about how's the quality of your life And what was your net profit? Because don't get me wrong, not everything in this business is about money,
No.
but it is like air. And the purpose of life is not to breathe, but what happens when you're not breathing? And the purpose of our businesses is not to just make money. But if our businesses do not make money, you will not live out your purpose.
Right.
And Mike, what I love is you've found your purpose, you've aligned it, and dude, what's so cool is now you're making progress and you're getting some traction. And you're doing it when most people are struggling mightily. So proud of you, man. It's thank you. Really thankful that you came on and shared today. I'll have to do this again sometime. So
yeah, that book really opened my eyes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Mike. I can be reached at any time. Instagram, real Robby T, or email me, or just go to hatchcoaching.com. Good seeing y'all. Mike, go get your daughter, buddy. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Have fun walking, bud.
Yes.
See you, dude. See you guys. Bye-bye.